All right, so now that the Buffalo Bills are out of the NFL playoffs, I think it's time that we had a talk about the Damar Hamlin situation. Everything about the Damar Hamlin story is about as bizarre as it could possibly be, and nobody's talking about it. It's like it's almost forbidden. It's framed as insensitive or conspiratorial to have the balls to say out loud what everyone else is already thinking. So we're just going to say it out loud. Between the NFL and the Players Association and the Hamlin family and Pfizer, the Cincinnati doctors, with the league-wide gag order that's in place, not allowing any players or personnel to talk about the situation at all, the reaction of the players on the field, 10 million live viewers watching Monday Night Football, and all of the fans at the stadium in person, all acutely aware that all of the stakeholders are desperate to get past the last 2 years of mandates and coercion and bribes and payoffs throughout the deployment of the bioweapon. Let's be clear, the NFL was compensated massive amounts of money to push this shot onto its players and personnel, and ultimately you, the fan. The Pro Bowl was canceled, the 2020 preseason was canceled, and you weren't getting into a complex unless you had your QR code. Essentially, if players and fans weren't injected, you lost football. They were holding the entire NFL season hostage, period. So now let's just zoom out for a bit and take in the big picture. In the middle of Monday Night Football, an NFL player just died suddenly, right there on the field after a routine hit. And let's be clear, that never happens. Exactly one other NFL player has died on the field. That was Chuck Hughes more than 50 years ago. But Hughes didn't die out of the blue. He'd suffered a chest injury months before. It was misdiagnosed as a spleen injury instead of one that endangered his heart. And then he kept playing despite his worsening condition. Ultimately, he finally died of a fatal heart attack. It was nothing like Hamlin, who went from completely fine, popping up on his feet, to dead on the field in just 5 seconds. So that's the start of the weirdness. Now, according to narratives that we've been told, Hamlin had to be revived on the field and then revived again after arriving at the hospital. This was not a mild heart attack. This was a severe one. He was unconscious. He was intubated. He was put into a medically induced coma for several days. We were told basically nothing in that time. Just shut up. Don't ask questions about Hamlin's vaccine status. Never mind that your vaccine status has been everyone's business for the last 2 years. His is none of your business. Just watch your own bobber. Don't let it cross your mind, not even for a second, that the bioweapon did this after over 1,000 professional athletes have collapsed on the field of play in the last fiscal year. Keep in mind, the historical average was 5 to 10 each year, never more than 10, now over 1,000. And then, as if in a movie, suddenly it all changes. He wakes up. And wouldn't you know it, his first question is, who won the game? And then the doctors reply, you won the game, Damar. You won the game of life. Like, really, is this a movie? It must be a movie. And then after that, suddenly he gets better really quickly. He does these smiling selfies where he's not on oxygen, not even hooked up to a visible heart monitor. Mind you, he was revived twice from a major severe heart attack. They rapidly check him out of the hospital within just a few days and send him back to Buffalo on a plane, apparently without even determining what caused the heart attack in the first place. And they apparently still don't know, by the way. Not publicly anyway. We suspect that privately they do know and aren't telling us for a very obvious reason. And according to how the press is presenting all of this, that's it. He's all better now. He went to the Bills game, but he didn't go on the field. He was just in a box, in a suite, and waved to people while wearing hoodies and shades and a scarf, so you literally couldn't see his face at all. He's posted photos of himself, but hasn't granted a single interview, even though supposedly he's been calling his teammates to chat with them on the phone. It's all just bizarre. And it doesn't have to be that he's secretly dead or any of the things that people are already accusing us of saying. No, it could easily just be that Hamlin is being used for the NFL's PR. They need him to be getting better and fast, like right away. But maybe he's not better. Maybe he's actually deeply messed up. It would make sense considering he spent several minutes dead on a playing field less than a month ago. And as for why nobody has said anything about the heart attack's cause, it takes no imagination at all. It would be disastrous for every powerful stakeholder to admit Damar Hamlin's collapse was caused by the jab. For Pfizer, it would be by far the highest profile collapse of a healthy young person from one of the shots. For the NFL and for the Bills, it's disastrous because they strongly encouraged, actually coerced players to get the vax and punish teams with lower vaccination rates. What if they now had to admit that they poisoned all of their players?